So thank you very much for the introduction. First of all, welcome everybody. As everybody hear us in the back as well? Okay, I see. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay. So we would like to start with a kind of motto, what we find out during when we are prepared for the presentation and for this day. That it takes less time to do things right than to explain why they did it wrong. Honestly, that was the first time when I heard about this American poet, but we think that this is exactly matching into our experience what we would like to show it to you. Okay, then I need to... Okay, some words about ourselves. So my name is István Szijártó. I'm a team leader inside our testing competency center.
And my name is Gergely Tömöri. I'm the second part of the team. And I'm also from Lufthansa Systems area. And I'm the test manager. I'm test manager of the project that we'll be talking about today.
Okay, as we are coming from the airline industry, that we have a timetable for today. First of all, we will do some short introduction about ourselves and about the business environment and the application area where we did such kind of experience about Agile and about our desire to change. Afterwards, I will say some words about our motivations, that why we are doing, why we choose exactly on that way. Connecting to that, of course, that as we are kind of engineers, that we would like to show you the physical realization, so how it exactly looks like, what kind of tools we are using, how we are integrated, and what are the outcomes. After the physical realization, in a very nice structured way, we would like to highlight the benefits and findings, what we collected, and on the end, as a kind of present to you, we would like to summarize into a kind of main message, what we thought as a kind of essential out of our experience. Last but not least, of course, we would like to reserve some time for the question and answers. Hopefully there will be some questions. Okay, about our company, HUSTEF Systems is located in the Info Park. Most of you might know it. So we are a part of the Lufthansa Group, mainly dealing with airline industry and airline industry related applications, not just software development and testing, but the major part of our company is operating those systems. So this is a kind of unique in our cases because more or less, or on the end, we have to cover the operational related requirements as well. So we have close cooperation with our colleagues on the operational side, so this is a kind of major factor for us as well. About the application area, so we call it sales IT tool. The application itself has a previous version, so this is a starting point of our story, and the customer decided to change this original or legacy system into a newer one, which means that they would like to migrate the functions into a new platform, plus of course, as usual, they would like to extend the functionalities what the original product is providing for them. Customer is working in also in airline industries, international catering company. If you are flying, most probably you got some food. If you are not flying on low cost, of course, then these are the catering companies who provide you those kind of issues for you. The application, what we creating, so this is still an ongoing project, is supporting this company in the sales processes, which means that they are in connection with airlines, with airports, and they have a kind of sales process which starts from the initiation opportunities until the final signature on the contract. So this is that's a value chain of the customer in this particular application cases. About our motivation. So why we are here? Honestly, we have, let's say, company-related motivation and personal-related motivation. Last year when we was also participating in the conference, Lloyd has a very nice presentation about that you are not able to run continuously in Agile and Sprint, so you need kind of slack. And this, let's say, statement came into my mind continuously after the conference that, okay, Agile is really a fancy and a fashionable way of creating software and developing software, fulfilling requirements. But as all of the things but human beings creating, there are problems with it. So therefore, I start looking not just this optimistic perspective, as the previous presenter said, that the Agile manifesto, everything is bright and beautiful, but still we have to take into consideration the points what is, let's say, can cause issues or effects on us. Okay, the second point, realization of the expectations. Our customer has, as usually the everyday or the ordinary customers has, different kind of expectations. Sometimes he is not able to phrasing those expectations on the way how we can identify or understand very well. So therefore, we try to get the points which are quite fixed. This means schedules and the original scope. And this is a very important point in terms of Agile development, that anyhow you have some original scope because somebody come to you and somebody orders something, a customer who is willing to pay some money, and therefore he would like to get something for his money, and therefore he defines something that this is what I would like to get out of my money. So because of this, why we are choose Agile? We had a quite tight schedule for the customer, and of course we have a kind of scope on the beginning, but customer is expecting us that we also need to bring in our professional and our previous experience, because we are the vendor who went there and say that okay, we are professionals in that field. So therefore we choose Agile because we would like to keep, let's say, the rights for ourselves, for scalability, for adaptation and for monitoring. What does mean scalability? In our perspective, and in a general Agile term, scalability means that scaling the scope. It's very nice when customer first time hear that yeah, you have the rights and you have the possibility of scaling about the scope, you can change it, you will see a demo in each every 2 or 3 weeks, and yeah, it's something which if I would be a customer, I would also would like to hear and would be very happy. That's why I have a full control. Second point is adaptation. Adaptation is more interesting for us, I mean from vendor perspective. If we have a continuously changing environment in terms of scope and estimation and whatever, then we also need to adapt ourselves. This means that not just taking into consideration exactly the scope or the content of the sprints, but here some line management and company perspective is also coming to the pictures. I, as a team leader, has to be sure that from commercial perspective, from utilization perspective, everything has to be on track. So therefore, if we will see that there is a kind of need of change, increasing, decreasing the velocity of the team, let's put it in that way, then we have to be able to adapt ourselves for this. Last point is the monitoring. Monitoring is a let's say, common need from the company perspective, from the vendor perspective, and from the customer perspective as well. If we are not well enough, let's say, monitored, then independently from Agile development, the project and the development itself can be easily going to a wrong direction. An example, if a customer on the beginning very interested in this new development way, but in the meantime, he became frustrated or boring. Every 2 weeks I have to travel there and sit there with them, looking for them and checking. So if the approach from the customer perspective is not given willingness to be involved into this development cycle, then this monitoring possibility of system will give us a good chance to easily react and react early enough for these cases. So that was the first part of the presentation. So now I would like to hand it over to Gergely, who will say to you about the physical realization of this application.
Thank you very much, István. Okay, so today I would like to show you how could we integrate our testing tools to each other in real life, in practice. But first, just to be same baseline, just a few words about theory. I try to be not so boring. So a lot of clever people define 4 quadrants of agile testing, as you can see in the picture. These 4 quadrants are separated by 2 axes. The business-facing and technology-facing activities is the first axis, and the supporting the team and the critical product is the second one. I will quickly run through all of the 4 axes. I will start from the bottom left side, just try to flatten the focus. So the first quadrant is mainly about unit testing. In our case, it's activities done by our development team. So after they create something, fixing the bug or create a new function, they need to write a unit test after this activity. So it's kind of an exit criteria. So before we move on, we need to have a fast unit test. The second quadrant is about functional test and story test. These are absolutely tester activities. In our case as well, we have a test team of 3. And we also have automated and manual functional tests. We have a fully automated smoke test suite. It contains about 30 automated test cases, and we are keep going on this way. We would like to increase this level of automation. The third quadrant is about mainly user acceptance test. As it says, it's a user-related, customer-related activity. To be honest, in our case, I would consider the sprint demonstration after each and every sprint as a user acceptance test. So as a tester and the provider, you can get very quick and instant feedback about the quality of the product after each and every demonstration. And in our case, we are also planning to have well-structured user acceptance test after the first trigger delivery of the product. Last but not least, about the utility testing, let's say. These are the usability, maintainability, and also performance and load test. These are also developer activities in our case, and this is supported by some kind of tools. In their case, Gmeter and Gmeter, sorry. So now I would like to shift to the realization part, how it looks like in real life. First, I will start with the workflow point of view, and then I will show you a short video about the realization. So let's start with the workflow. The workflow starts on the bottom left side again, with the black guy. Actually, represents the developer. So let's say it's not the day of the developers, but development. So, as I already mentioned, the developer creates something, fixing a bug, or implement a new function. So update the code, let's say. The first part, they need to commit this change to the repository system. In our case, in our project. And we also have a continuous build server called Jenkins. And in case of the development branch, this Jenkins is checking the repository in every 15 minutes. And actually it creates a new build to the development branch. In the testing environment, it's much more different because for testing, we need a stable and testable environment. So we cannot allow that we have a changing environment in every 15 minutes. So in case of the test environment, it's a fully manual activity. So when the developer pushes a button, a new release goes to the test environment. And here comes the tester. As you can see, we as testers have a lot of gadgets, at least 5. So in our project, we can manage to integrate all of these tools together. As you can see, we have test automation tool, test performance tool, and we can integrate this to the test management tool. We are using Szijártó as a test management tool, so we can trigger our automated test cases from the Seed Central, and the results of each and every execution and also goes back to the Seed Central, so we can check the results there. We are also using document management and issue tracking tool. So it's the point where the circle ends. So we upload our results to the document management system, and we are also updating the statuses of each and every bug reports and user stories in the issue tracking system, so the developers can check the actual status of the bugs and issue reports, and also can see the results of the latest runs and can take some actions needed. Let's move on to the demonstration video. Don't panic, it won't be too long, it's only 1.5 minutes, and I will guide you through this video. And I will ask István to start with now. And please zoom out a bit. Okay, so we are starting from the Jenkins continuous build server. The build is already running, and it automatically triggers the test automation tool. We are using Surface Workbench, and now the application appears. So the Workbench is actually testing the GUI itself, selecting some values, filling some fields, select items from drop-down list. So mainly testing the GUI, and selecting values. You can see that this meter is growing and colors are changing. Yeah, it's quite fancy. And now we shift into the second test case. It's mainly doing the same, checking the GUI. But why I decided to have this test case, because it will fail at the end, trust me. So soon an exception will occur. Yes, it's here. So the test failed. So each and every test cases are triggered and executed, and then the build finished, and you instantly get an error report to your inbox via an email, and you can open this notification email, and this email contains a link to the Seed Central Test Manager, and it contains the detailed results of the run. And also, if the execution failed, the screenshot of the exception is also attached to the failed step. So yes, that was the short demonstration video. And finally, I would like to summarize our findings, what we learned in our journey, and what we could do better or somehow different next time. So our findings. We could achieve that we could integrate all of the tools together. So we have this tool chain, let's say, which absolutely meet our requirements and support our testing activities. We also have this test automation set runs after each and every release. And I would say that our finding was that proper customer requirement management is a key. So in Agile methodology, you need to be in the same page with the customer, because, for example, in our case, the customer thought that Agile means that they can modify their requirements after each and every sprint. So it's, you cannot reach that goal. So you need to be on the same page and need to understand the same in Agile. And last but not least, our ID setup issue. It was quite a tricky one, because we are using XDH as a development tool, let's say, and not a developer. But the ID setup of the GUI were always changing after each and every release. So it means practically that we need to update our automated test cases after each and every release, which is not so effective, let's say. So we need to find a workaround, and now we have fully set up automated test cases, but once after each and every releases. what we would keep and what we would eliminate. I would say that Agile was the closest right method that we could change, that we could choose, and we were using the correct toolset, and we would use the same next time again. Prior environment setup is a must, so before you could start to integrate these kind of tools together, you need to have a really stable host environment. And last but not the least, proper planning and minimizing the risk of using new technologies is also key. So we decided to have our well-known technologies. So we were using these kind of technologies because we thought that we won't have time to implement and learn some new technologies. So we would like to be sure. That was what we would keep. What we would eliminate, I would say nothing. So we learned what we need to learn, and maybe next time we will do differently, but not eliminate anything. So that was my part, and István is really good at drawing some conclusions, so I would give the word back to him and let him finish.
Okay, so I would like to, as a kind of closing part of the presentation, share with you the main message. Is still everybody hearing me in the back as well? Great. And it's still awake, so not nobody is falling asleep. Very good. Okay, some words about our messages. What we conclude, but before I'm starting, I just start thinking about during the lunchtime that when I listened during the morning session about the presentations, I had the impression that, oh, okay, it's great that almost all of our ammunition are already shooted by the other presenters, but still I would like to change it on the way that this still encourages us that we are doing the very same thing, we are facing with the very same things what the others. So it's really a very good feedback for us that what we are doing is a good one. So first main message what I would like to share with you is that it fully depends on you. So our finding is that independently from the tools, what kind of tools we are using, what are the coverage measurement way, how we are adapting this, how we are handling our requirements, in which way, in which format, how we are connecting to this. On the end of the day, it fully depends on you. So the main major factor is still the human factor in the development cycle. What does it mean? It only works on the proper way if you would like to. So in case if somebody is coming into the workplace as a kind of 9 till 5 worker and falling out his hand the pencil and at 5 o'clock, for sure it won't work. So it's really need a commitment towards the application and towards the role of the tester in the Scrum team. It's not possible that you just doing because this is the job where or why you are getting your salary. We highlighted several times that it's very, very crucial and important to be involved the customer into the game. So if the customer is thinking or seeing to Agile as a kind of possibility that in any time, in any case, I can put in, remove or change or adjust, then it for sure will go into the direction that on the end the final results won't satisfy for the customer and for the vendor as well. So it's crucial that encourage them and this is a kind of, let's say, way or needed activity to teach them. So we, not just as a tester, but as a member of a Scrum team, has to teach the customers for this methodology, using this methodology. Today, several times we heard that there is no silver bullet. So this means Agile is still not grail, so don't make too high expectations against the methodology itself. So methodology won't help you in case if you are just using methodology and not commitment, don't have commitment beside that. So thank you for your attention. And we have a kind of question and answer session, but if we have time, but of course we have a stand outside, so everybody is welcome there if you would like to ask more questions or just simply interested.